Welcome back to the final days. Today is August 7th, 2021. Please feel free to share, copy, or reuse any parts of my videos. But first, I wanted to let you know that today we are going to see many different celestial objects from the Alaskan and Canadian FAA weather cameras that are visible to the naked eye up in the far north. These objects are not as visible from the lower 48 states because more care is taken to hide them from populous areas. And please forgive my voice. I lost my voice for quite a while, and I'm just now starting to get it back, so please bear with me on that. For example, we normally don't see the black dot equipment, which is visible from unpopulated areas. This black dot in the center of the manufactured light, which is explained in many previous videos, this black dot is only visible when not hidden and when directly facing the camera. We know the black dot is not something produced within the camera because it casts a reflection upon many different water surfaces, as you can see here. These are signs that we are living in the very last days, according to the Holy Bible. In the Bible's book of Luke, chapter 21, verse 25, Jesus tells us that we will see signs in the sky when the end is near. Whenever our real sun is being eclipsed, which happens more often than you would ever imagine, especially up north, and the only light in the sky is the manufactured light, the manufactured light becomes completely hidden whenever it passes behind small objects. This manufactured light is only as big as the black dot you just saw in the previous images. As mentioned earlier, I've been away on a long journey. The last video I made was on February 24th, and around this time the enemy attacked me and I was diagnosed with a very aggressive, fast-growing cancer that had taken over most of my body. By the time I arrived at my first chemo treatment in late March, I was in a wheelchair. I could hardly breathe because an 11-inch inoperable mass was pressing against my lungs. Golf ball-sized malignant lymph nodes were all up and down my left side. I only had days or weeks left to live. I'm going to explain to you how powerful your prayers are and how God can work miracles through our prayers. My church began to pray for me as well as other churches. Many Bible groups were praying for me as well as my family and all my friends. I even received a get well card from a total stranger out of state who said they were praying for me as well as their entire church. This was so touching. It was just amazing. And after only 4 weeks, the 11-inch mass was completely gone, as well as the malignant golf balls that were up and down my left side. I no longer needed a wheelchair. I don't know of any chemotherapy that works that fast. This was only possible by the hand of God, the Most High. And during the next month, tests and scans showed no signs of cancer whatsoever. God had miraculously healed me through the prayers of many. Doctors encouraged me to go ahead and finish out the chemotherapy treatments, so I did. I'm just now getting my voice back from the last and final treatment. Why God heals one person and not another is completely beyond my understanding. But I do know that the prayers of the righteous, the faithful, are very powerful. And the Bible tells us this in the book of James, chapter 5, verse 16. Whenever anything unusual is visible on these FAA cameras, the images are removed. Inside the red rectangle drawn on this image are the thumbnails representing the last 6 hours of footage on this camera. Now, when you click on any of these thumbnails, its larger image appears below. The white thumbnails represent images that have been removed from public view. As you can see, 28 out of 34 images have been removed from this camera, which is 82%. The public is only allowed to see 6 of these images. Now, I only get what they miss, so you can imagine what they are removing from these cameras. In this footage from Nick, Alaska, they missed a striped planet that is hidden in the atmospheric chemicals, and it's only visible when contrast is applied to the image. As I mentioned before, I apply the contrast only to a small part of the image because it works much more efficiently that way. Often it doesn't even work if you apply it to the entire image. The southeast-facing camera in Willow, Alaska, shows us a very large celestial object with gaping craters. We know this cannot possibly be a lens flare of the sun for several reasons, the most obvious reason being its fast rotation. The striking craters on this object do make its rotation very easy to see. Technology is in place to blur objects in the sky. We are seeing this very effect from the southeast-facing camera at McKinley Park in Alaska. Here we see a huge spherical object that is being partially illuminated by the manufactured light as it passes over this object. This is one way we know this cannot possibly be a lens flare of the sun. A lens flare can never become partially illuminated by the object causing the lens flare. Folks, we are very close to the end of the age. When the Great Tribulation comes, Jesus removes his faithful followers, God's wrath is poured out upon the earth, and then finally the second coming of Christ, when judgment is executed upon all who remain in this third-dimensional realm. Faithful followers of Christ are not appointed to God's wrath, his judgments. Psalm 91 tells us that the faithful will see atrocities poured out upon the wicked, but that it will not come near the faithful. In Luke chapter 21, verse 36, Jesus says, "Watch therefore, and pray always, that you may be counted worthy to escape all these things that will come to pass." Jesus is referring to God's wrath, his judgments, plagues. He is saying that those who are counted worthy will escape God's wrath.